Stay right there, boy. You are under arrest. We got a runner. Requesting backup. Requesting backup.
All right, guys, it's time to talk about Jax, the champ.
Who wants a piece of the champ?
Out of all of my Ticket to Diamond videos, I really mean this one. Like, if I had to pick one video or one champion based on all the other ones I've made a video about so far, it would be Jax. He is one of the hardest carry potentials in the game, and a bonus is that he's been used by one of the most dominant NA solo queue players, TF Blade. If there is one champion that I would recommend to any low elo top laner who constantly complains about their bot lane always feeding or throwing the game, I recommend Jax, because if you can get a lead and know how to steward it properly, then you will be very scary to the other team. What's going on, guys? My name is Snowda, and if you like this video, go ahead and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to see more of my videos. If you want to tune into my stream where Jax is currently a part of my champ pool, I'm live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The link is in the description below. All right, it's time to talk about Jax. I'm not sure if there is any champion with a more iconic late game split push than Jax. If left unchecked, he will continuously knock down all of the enemy towers and then show up for a random team fight and get a quadra kill. If you're looking for a champion to solo carry your games and lift yourself out of the elo that you're in by grabbing yourself by your bootstraps, then Jax is at the top of the list for you. Overall, people seem to think that top lane has a very low impact in the game, but when I'm playing low elo, top lane is by far my favorite role to play. You can just get so much pressure on one half of the map that the jungler and mid laner will just be too scared to roam up to you. You can get a lead top. It also allows you to get control over the Rift Herald, which between you and me is stronger than early dragons. Rift Herald allows you to get pressure on the map by taking down towers and allows your top laner to roam down during dragon fights a lot easier. This will allow you to secure the 3rd and 4th dragon, which are arguably the most important. Anyways, I'm deviating from Jax, but the point is that there's a large area of the map that the top/jungle occupies without any pressure from the other 3 champions on the other team. This excludes any random roams from the enemy Alistar, but you get my point. Jax is a great early game. Now, some of you might think I'm nuts for saying this, but I think Jax's level 1 and 2 are almost unmatched in this game. Obviously, Darius beats him out in this category, but in plenty of other matchups, Jax has the upper hand and can pressure very early kills. He starts to fall off a little bit around levels 4 and 5, but after level 6, you can start slow pushing the wave and get some poke off by stacking your 3rd auto attack and then jump on someone with Q and hit them with the empowered auto WR. All right, that was a mouthful, but I just showed it on the screen, so that's kind of what I'm talking about. This is even more powerful if you can get a decent back and buy a Sheen. This is a great way to get complete wave dominance, and I highly recommend it. Other than this, other champions with more prominent ultimates beat him out around the stage of the game, and it takes him another 3 to 5 levels to finally catch back up in dueling strength and start hitting his late game stride. In skill matchups against Fiora and Riven, Jax starts to separate himself and outscale around levels 9 to 11. So it's important to do what you can so you can help yourself start to scale well into the mid and late game. One thing that is positive about Jax, but something that I've always had mixed feelings about, is his build path. Historically, Trinity Force is one of the best buys on him, especially with your high focus on farming and getting as much gold as possible. You'll be able to afford it. But with the recent buffs to Blade of the Ruined King and situational items like Black Cleaver, Titanic Hydra, and Wit's End, to make it even worse, you can go other great items like Death's Dance, Sterix, GA, and to add even more to it, a lot of the tanky items really synergize well and help him get to 40% CDR and also keep him alive forever. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that Jax is a very versatile yet stompy champion who can go many different build paths. He's a great duelist in the side lane and is an S tier split pusher, yet can also teamfight super well. Guys, I'm going to go on more reasons on why you should play him, but basically his champion is incredible and so much fun to play. Also, I like something that is completely unrelated to his gameplay, and that's his SKT skin. Him constantly using that annoying trophy to smack everything in his sight is just such a satisfying thing to watch and listen to. I could go on and on about why I love Jax so much, but I'll keep it to one more thing so that this video isn't like 20 minutes long. And the last thing I like about Jax is his split push pressure. I mentioned it earlier, but he really is unmatched when it comes to split pushing. If you get any sliver of a lead, you can slowly but surely power farm into an absolute monster while taking their side lane towers. Now, a mistake I commonly make and I'm working on is not grouping enough in the very late game around super important objectives. Recently, in those situations, I've just chosen to push for inhibs, and I've had a shaky amount of success. Regardless of whether I made the right macro choices in those situations or not, Jax's ability to apply an endless amount of pressure by split pushing and threatening inhibs is a great way to win low elo games and can more than carry you to diamond. Hey guys, I'm editing right now and just wanted to plug our community Discord. If you're looking to get helped on your rank climb or find a duo, or you just want to hang out, come join the Discord. The link is in the description. Although Jax is one of my favorite champions in the game, he is not without his flaws, and the very first thing that I don't like about him is that he is countered by champions who can kite him very well. I'll mention champions who specifically counter him in a little bit, but I don't like how he struggles with stickiness when he doesn't have his core items. This is a problem because his items are really expensive and take a lot of gold to really get him online. Trinity Force costs 3,700 gold, which is one of the most expensive items in the game. If you fall behind or pick into a bad matchup without any jungle help, it can be really hard to get back into the game without some extensive side lane and jungle farming. This is why his main counters have a lot of CC and executes. The first one I'll mention is Cho'Gath. I picked Cho'Gath the other night on stream to show people that Jax does have a lot of weaknesses that can be exploited, but people are too scared to bully him because a lot of them just have a mental block against Jax because they've been stomped on in the past. Cho'Gath has great CC that allows him to bully Jax and counter his engages. His silence is also great and just kind of puts Jax where he is and he can't jump around and use his E. And of course, Cho'Gath's ultimate is the last thing that makes him such a strong counter. It's an execute which is insane against Jax because he's pretty squishy in the early game and his ultimate cannot protect him against true damage. I'll mention his other top counters a little later, but just know that if Jax can't stick to someone and stack his passive, he's not super useful besides just being a stun bot. The last thing I don't like about Jax is that he is sort of team oriented. This bad part really only applies to low elo because if you're smashing on Jax, the wrong thing to do in most situations, right? There's never a perfect way to play every game, is to group, because if you die in a team fight, then you lose all of the possible pressure that you had on the map. This is why Jax shines at split pushing and adding a ton of pressure. But if you're split pushing and there aren't any major objectives that you need to group and fight for, it's still likely that your teammates will just throw their champions together mid lane and just see who comes out on top. And because it's a 4v5, they're obviously going to lose that. Why communicating with pings when playing Jax is vital to your success. If your team has any sort of brain, regardless of the size, they should be able to back off and just wave clear so that you can keep beating down towers. Okay, so you're wanting to pick Jax in a ranked game and it's picked right before you have the chance. So don't panic, this is exactly what you want because I'm going to tell you how to counter him. Darius, Garen, Cho'Gath, Malphite, and Maokai are great counters. There are others, but those are the ones that I've had the most trouble with playing against recently. They all have one or a combination of the following: crowd control, tankiness, the ability to get Jax off of themselves or a teammate, and an execute. Oh, and the last thing that is a little less important is that they can clear waves under tower without dying if they need to match Jax while he's split pushing. The next way to counter him once you've picked these champions is to call for jungle pressure. I mentioned earlier that Jax's items are super expensive, so if you can get him behind, you'll be able to teamfight 5v4 or 5v5 and the other team just kind of has a weak Jax jumping in and feeding. Getting him behind early is vital because he can snowball out of control in a good way but also in a bad way. Even if you get behind, don't worry, there's still hope that your team will win a 4v4 when you're matching him during a split push. All you need to do is sit under tower and clear waves so that he can't take all of your towers. Nice loves to talk about the idea of fight, float, and flank when playing split push champions, and there's a high probability that a Jax in low elo doesn't know how to float, so he will get very frustrated when you keep clearing his waves and he might force a bad fight. If you are in this situation, all you need to do is wait for your opponent to make a mistake and then capitalize on it. This is low elo. It happens all of the time, so they will just throw their lead over to you like a football. All you have to do is sit back, clear waves, and wait for them to make a mistake. Okay, here are 3 quick tips to carry as Jax. The first tip is just to split push one ahead and use the fight, float, flank method. When you are split pushing and no major objectives are up, you either want to fight your opponent if you can dive successfully or kill them outside their tower. If you can't do that, then you can float to get vision, create pressure, having your opponent spam missing, or take jungle camps, then go right back to pushing your lane. Then if you can't do either of those things and you see that you can flank for a pick or force a 5v4 team fight, you can do that. The second tip I have is to try to get 40% in CDR. I'm going to show you a build that does have 40% CDR in a second, but this is important for 2 reasons. The first is that it allows you to get your stun off multiple times in a fight, which you'll be able to do because you're going to max E second, and you can 1v1 people reliably when you constantly have your abilities up. Plus, usually Jax's new CDR build includes some tanky items, so you are tanky and sticky at the same time, so you can just whack the other team. The last tip I have to carry is just to communicate via pings. It is so important to mute all in low elo because egos are fragile and people are not afraid to tell you the most vile thing to get you tilted. This also happens more and you will get flamed when your team doesn't understand the power of split pushing correctly. So when you're in a side lane, communicate via pings. Tell them to back, tell them where you're going, mass ping the neutral objectives, just mute all, trust me, it'll be worth it and allow you to focus on the game more than the banter between your team. Okay, here's the current rune page I've been taking on Jax. Like everything in League, these are subject to change alongside his build, so go to your favorite League of Legends website and find the latest runes and build. I take Last Stand instead of Coup de Grace because you just happen to get low during the early skirmishes. Okay, here's a classic Jax build, but again, learn how to itemize to the specific game. If there are 4 AP champions on the other team, build Merc Treads into other magic resist items after you get your 1 core damage item. This will allow you to do more damage in team fights because you won't be getting one shot by all the AP on their team. This also goes for AD, so make sure you're playing each new game with a fresh outlook and be ready to be flexible for whatever you need to do and help your team win. Okay guys, it's all I have for you. As always, it's been Snowda. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.